It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind. Columbia, this is... Houston, AOS, over.
What's going on, folks? Welcome back to another episode of the Knicks Wall Podcast. I'm your host, as always, Kyle Maggio, joined by my co-host, Shaun, and today we got a special TKW compatriot with us, Danny B. What's going on, guys?
What's up?
So, crazy day, huh?
Crazy day indeed.
Yeah.
Just nonstop, man. You know what I'm saying? It was like you got the normal, like you woke up thinking like, all right, what are we going to find out today? That's literally what I woke up thinking. You pick up the phone and you start seeing Cam's birthday, you know what I'm saying? And within an hour of those posts going around on every app, you're seeing Berman leading the charge on, information that Cam was saying that he was looking for a change of scenery, as he worded it. He didn't really, word himself into a box of requesting a trade, but just kind of put some stuff out there. So you had reports swirling all morning there. And then, the Woj bomb, that I'm sure that we'll get to in a little bit, dropped around 3 o'clock or so. And I put out that tweet, I felt like a collective, on every platform, you just felt it. You know what I mean? My phone pretty much blew up, and I was left just wondering what happened, because you see all these reports that we're going to get into, and it's like, what is going on? Let me pass the buck, because I got lots of things to talk about, lots of things to touch on. So let's kind of start from the beginning. I don't want to really jump ahead too far, so I guess you guys covered a lot on the pod that you had the other day when you were talking about, RJ signing the extension. So let's kind of pick up from after that. You know what I'm saying? Were you guys expecting anything to happen right now? Because I know in my mind, I was pretty much hanging back and waiting till about, the last week in September or so to really start getting going, and seeing the steam, pull away.
We 100% thought that shit was happening, and we 100% thought that shit was happening soon in our favor. We were, if you listen back to the last pod, we were embarrassingly feeling that it was gonna happen in the next week or two. So I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, Shaun, but I think it was a little bit of a crushing blow to feel it not go our way, and to see it was for the Cavs. I was very surprised it was the Cavs. Good, you know what? Good dark horse. I'll give it to them. I like the Cavs. I like that group that they have. Good dark horse team. Good surprise team. It could have been a more annoying team, a team that we didn't like to begin with. Good dark horse team. We'll get to the package. But I mean, Shaun, how surprised were you? Not only that it wasn't us, but that it was the Cavs, and that it was today.
I was shocked. And the thing is, I felt like there weren't many teams that were there with us at all. And then the report came out, the Cavs were pulling out of it. And so I was like, okay, cool. It's really just us. And so, yeah, we were definitely embarrassingly sure, that he was coming here. That's my main thing. And that initial moment of shock when I got the notification, I'm just nah, whoa, just hacked. No way. And then I was like, oh, this really happened. And then so there was some egg on my face, because I've been saying it so certainly. So yeah, I was definitely shocked. I wasn't really upset, but I was shocked for sure. I did not see that coming. Not gonna lie.
Yeah,
very, very wild, man.
It definitely was. The first thing I did was check to see if it was a fake account, then I realized I don't have notifications on for fake accounts. And it's like you said, you know what I'm saying? It's kind of shock, because I think that sometimes, fans, and I'm throwing myself, in the mix here too, because I definitely did. I got definitely riled up in all the hype, you know what I mean? And definitely caught up. And it's a lot of times you want to kind of hold your tongue, and you see all these, things flying around. We've always said, wait till the final reports, wait till the final. But it's man, there wasn't that many other teams out there, like you just said. You know what I mean? You got the report with the Cavs dropping out, which clearly, was somebody blowing smoke out there. And it's you get it so kind of in your head, whether it's in the front or the back of your head, that this one is a possibility of very much happening, but two, that it's going to happen. You heard everybody from Begley down to, people like, Screaming A, who I can't stand, but saying that this is a done deal, you know what I'm saying, up and down the board. And it didn't turn out that way. So that was the big shock for me. And I think that because it was going around for so long, people got to thinking like, all right, this is going to be my team, right? Like Mitchell's on the team. So they start thinking now from that point with him on the team. And it's like, too early to do so, and I feel like that makes it that much more shocking. Like it makes it just that much more heavy, you know what I mean? And I kind of felt pissed at first, and I'm just going to go into my reaction real quick, because I was definitely one of those people, and I think I was kind of pissed at first because it's like, I back this front office. You give them the benefit of the doubt. When you bring in a new front office, you don't have the Knicks PTSD thing and that whole mind frame where it's like, all right, all these, front offices suck. This front office is going to suck. You have to kind of wipe the surface clean and say, all right, I'm starting anew. Let's see what these guys do. So you have to kind of give them the benefit of the doubt. So I did that. First year went great, obviously. Then we saw what happened last year, and it was like, all right, no problem, 1-1. There was a lot of things that didn't go right that I definitely did not agree with. That's for sure. But backing out and looking bird's eye view, all right, you're 1-1. So I'll give you one more to see, you know what I'm saying, if you could make the odds in your favor. And so that's where I was. And then all of a sudden you see this stuff start happening, and Leon can't get it done. And it's like, I gave you the benefit of the doubt this long. I gave you the off season, and not bad. We got Brunson, but one, you got the whole nepotism, narrative that's out there. I understand that. But two, we didn't move off Randall. You didn't move off Fournier. I understand we got rid of Burks, but I mean, if we weren't going to get rid of anybody, what the hell were we doing? So I just expected a little bit more, and then them not to land Mitchell. It's like they got to do something at some point. Something has to give, and it's like that's kind of where I'm at now. So my reaction initially was like shocked and kind of pissed, but I'm kind of more even keel now, because it's like, listen, we're still set up where, I think I was saying in our group chat earlier, where it's like, we don't know what tomorrow brings. There could be someone out there who's not happy, that's just keeping it quiet, and we don't know, so you kind of have to hang your hat on that a little bit, but at the same token, not knowing is what eats people. So that's where I'm kind of left at right now emotionally, So I'm all right. Seesaw came back,
I think that, like I was shocked. And then I was like, okay, so what is it? Why didn't this happen? Like, if this only didn't happen because the Cavaliers trade package is not super impressive. Like, the Cavs weren't gonna use Colin Sexton anyway, so they sent him over there, and then Utah gave him 4 years, $72 million, which isn't a bad contract, but like, like it's not like some great move or anything. And then you got Lauri Markkanen, and then three picks and 2 pick swaps. And I just don't think that was so. It's like, at first I was like, did we lose this because we weren't willing to go to a third unprotected pick? And so that would have upset me a little bit, because I wasn't too worried about unprotected picks. And I was like, you can't miss out on a star player because of unprotected picks. But then when it comes down to like, hearing that they wanted RJ, another player, and blah, 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 I honestly, and this, I'm really, so my emotion now and my pretty much immediate reaction after was just relief. This has been a really long summer, bro. This has been a really long summer with a lot of reports, conflicting reports from here, reports from there. This guy using media pawns, this guy using media pawns, seeing a headline and being like, okay, like, which guy is leaking this? It was exhausting. And so, and then, like, even with our own players, like, it's like, okay, how many players are we, like, at the end of the day, we don't have any real information. So, like, when I'm thinking about the trade, I'm thinking about the leverage we have and how much we should have to include and what we should be able to keep and what I think we don't want to include. And it's like, but we don't know who's going to be here. That feeling of not knowing who's going to be here all summer, like, it's just annoying. Even having to put our own players in trade, like, I don't know if anybody remembers, but like during the last season, as a trade deadline, I was a person, I was like, I don't want to talk about trades because I don't want to, like, just think about shipping these guys off. So it's like hypothetically shipping guys off every day and figuring out who we're going to keep, which is really like annoying. But what this offseason really did to me is I don't really believe anything anymore. I don't believe anything that is really said in the media. And there's guys who are more reputable, but I've seen guys who are more reputable flip-flopping and, clearly being used as puppets. And it's just like, okay, like there's something at play here. And then, so I'm glad that we're able to move past this. I'm glad that we can focus on now, the star Jay Barrett stepping in his year and being the number one. I'm glad. Hopefully, we don't start Evan Fournier, and I'll be very happy about either Quentin Grimes or Emmanuel Quickly. That's where my brain went. And so now it's like, okay, how can we get Evan Fournier off this team in the next 3 weeks? That's my thinking. And with everything else going on, and all the reports swirling, and now everybody's discussing, oh, they were going to trade RJ, blah blah blah. I'm a firm believer, and I say it all the time on, like, whether it's the Don't Watch the Show I do or just whatever. Like, I believe in, like, creating and controlling your reality. And so, like, I live in a reality now where RJ Barrett is inked to a 4-year, $120 million deal, and Donovan Mitchell is the Cleveland Cavalier. I'm not going to go back into all that other stuff about, oh, what was being offered up, but it's too much. I don't know anything. I know absolutely nothing. And so all I can operate on is what it really is right now moving forward. RJ looks very happy. He has a big smile on the video, signing his 4-year, $120 million contract. He's here. We're building a franchise around him. They're dropping, the highlight reel of him, and, people call it damage control. Call it what you want, man. I think we just signed a 22-year-old to a 4-year, $120 million deal, and we're doubling down on him being our guy. That's cool with me. That's in there. That's what I'll go with. That's what's happening in my reality. And so, all these conversations in the back and forth and reacting to every report, and now there's going to be a bunch of, oh, like there was this deal that was turned down and blah, blah, blah. Like, I can't get there. I can't live there. And I also realized,
I'm with you on that.
Like, and part of not believing what's being said, especially with Woj, I gotta realize and it's funny because everybody's like, oh, blah, 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 like they were gonna do this, they were gonna trade. And it's just like, I'm sure we'll get into what the offers were and how little sense they make. But like, when things don't make sense, I don't just run to believe them. But also, the media was pissed. The media was pissed when we kept them out of the Jalen Brunson introduction. And I think we're seeing a lot of that right now. I think that's what a lot of this is, and I think it's very nasty. How do you feel, Kyle?
I mean, first of all, the RJ thing was damage control to me. I don't even care that much. I don't even care that much. But they did it the exact same time the trade is getting announced. We knew the news broke 2 days ago, whatever, 3 days ago. Like, you could have just announced it any of the 2 or 3 previous days. It was not to do it at the same time. 100% damage control. I understand to a degree, but like, wait a couple hours. Like, I mean, something. I mean, doing it at the same time, I was like, all right, man. But at the same time, again, it is what it is. You're gonna do this stuff anyway. But doing
that's that friction. You know what I'm saying? Like Leon, like, F it, put it out. You know what I'm saying?
The only reason I know it is because it's the way they always do their PR stuff, like releasing a statement after the draft. Like they've always had the weird statement release, like stuff that they've done too. So like, it's the only reason I'm like, it's 100% like what they thought to do for sure. 100. It's their like MO. But aside from that, again, not really a big deal in the grand scheme anyway. But I was surprised, I guess. But I thought the Cavs package was decent. I didn't think it was something that we couldn't have beat. The conflicting reports are a little bit suspicious, because on one hand we have Woj telling us that back in July, the Knicks were going to trade, Mitchell Robinson, and it could have included RJ Barrett, Obi Toppin, 3 unprotected firsts, and then they say Utah turned that down. Woj says, but then I believe Begley reported back in July that this was not offered by the Knicks. It was Utah asking the Knicks for that package. So it's that's an opposite right there. So it's like,
I'm glad that you brought that up because I was specifically keeping that in the pocket to bring up. You hit it on the head, man. Like right there, you got to call it out. Sums up, you know what I mean? Right there is telling you can't believe everything.
So, it's a little bit my only frustrations in all of this, and Shaun knows this because of my endless whining and complaining. Everybody on Twitter, I'm sure too. Everybody's very tired of it. I would love for the star trade to happen. I would love for it to happen because we always tout these picks. Since Leon took over, he inherited an advantageous position. He had picks. I think what we said it was like 7 and 4 years, 8 and 5 years when he took over, right? Okay. we didn't really do much with them in terms of using them in a bigger trade, right? But we made some selections, good picks, whatever. Okay, fine, right? We're slowly burning through them now. We stock back up again. We're positioned to try to do it, right? Every report, even today in Woj's first tweet, was that the Jazz really value draft capital. We had draft capital to use. But then you're reading things like the Knicks didn't want to go past like 3 firsts. So it's like, look, I understand you got to draw the line somewhere, but at some point, like you can't put out press releases saying, look at all these picks we have, look at the flexibility we have, and then it's like yet again, seems like you don't take advantage. So it's like, of course, it's not the worst position to be in that you just have the picks, and it's not the worst position to be in to have RJ Barrett extended and to get Jalen Brunson. So nobody's saying it's like doom and gloom. This is the worst thing. Like I'm not, on here to cry about it, but it's just like, God damn, like just one time, just like pull the trigger, just one time. Because it's like it's weird when they do. It's like $80 million for Fournier, no problem, and then it's like then when we're trying to trade for, Donovan Mitchell, we're getting like nitpicky about where we're going to draw the line for picks that we're touting that we stockpiled. It's like the whole point of stockpiling is we have too many so that we can trade a bunch of them so that, we can get the big upgrade, get the sure thing. Like that's kind of the point. Because again, like we already don't have minutes for like a lot of the young players, right? The other young players. We already have young players paid and in the starting lineup. RJ Barrett, Mitchell Robinson. These are guys that were part of other young cores, a current young core, right? It's not like none of the kids are playing just because all of them are playing. So it's like, how many more of these guys are going to get minutes? If Randall is moved, right? Obi gets minutes. If Quickly looks like he's going to get more minutes this year, right? It's like, okay, but how many more? Grimes hopefully is starting over Fournier. It's like, then you got more kids coming in every year. You're gonna have more draft selections every year. You can't just punt forever with even your draft picks. You can't just keep trading for future picks. Like at some point, you just gotta do it. And it's like these guys don't always become available. Typically, yeah, throughout the year, there's a guy or two that'll pop up, usually inevitably. But it's like, like this was a good swing to take. It was it was a good fit. I thought we needed another creator. We have a tough time. We're hoping RJ develops that further, right? We're hoping Quickly, starts to develop that, get a little bit more volume, get a little bit more minutes, right? But we really struggle with like creation on this team. Like guys don't do well. It's like it's kind of very clunky for various reasons. RJ's still growing into it. Randall had a career worst year. Fournier just not that good. Various different reasons. But it's like getting somebody who just score the ball just effectively. And especially, I know we got Brunson again, which is why it's not the worst thing in the world. But it's like it just would have been nice to just see it happen for once. And it's not like we would have been totally wiped out. Like we still would have had some other picks, and then hopefully you make a move, right? Maybe you get Randall, whatever, try to clear more salary. It's like you still would have some flexibility to try to sign somebody. Typically, you can sign better players when you have a star in your team, and then a good young talent like RJ. So I just, if it was really RJ or bust, at the end of the day, for me, I wouldn't have done the trade. But, it just, I'm surprised if there was no other packages we could have put together without RJ that would have been sufficient if they value draft capital so much. That's like my only thing. If it was really in July, RJ or bust, in August, RJ or bust, like that was really truly what it ends up being from the Jazz asking perspective, then okay. Like I would understand why they would have been like, all right, fuck off. Like I would get it then, right? I just want to make sure that that's what it was. I just don't know that. I hope that they keep mentioning there were so many different versions of the trade discussed. So to me, it sounds like there would have had to have been versions where it was like 4 picks, like Grimes, like maybe Obi. Like I'm not trying to get too nuts, but it's like there had to have been other packages that didn't involve RJ that were a little bit higher in other areas that the Jazz could have taken a stab at. Like it just feels like that had to have existed. But if they didn't want to trade with us at the end of the day, whether they didn't like those packages ultimately, maybe they didn't like the players. I don't know. I don't know what it is. But yeah, that's my only like gut feeling. Maybe it's devil's advocate, sort of, whatever. But like that's kind of just what I feel like. I feel like they really they could have gotten something else done. But if it was RJ or bust, really and truly, thoroughly, honestly, then I understand at the end of the day.
Yeah, I
I
mean,
feel
like
like-
in all the reports coming out, I mean, and once again, I don't know what to believe. But what I feel like I can believe is that the Jazz wanted a lot from us in particular. And I truly and 100% believe they traded him out of spite. I think they took less from Cleveland or just took a deal that was slightly less than ours, whatever it may be, just because Danny Ainge was getting bled out all summer and didn't like it. And the narrative around, oh, like he's got nowhere else to go, blah blah blah. He's like, all right, I'll show you. Like, watch this, like the Usher thing. But yeah,
Right.
I think there were definitely ways, but if they wanted RJ, like the one report said, their final counter offer was like RJ, Emmanuel quickly, one other young player, and 3 picks. And it's just like, I mean, I know me personally, I was saying the whole time, like they can't even have 2 out of IQ, OB, and Grimes. Like I was saying that all summer because it was like there's no reason to give up 2 of them. Like they don't have that kind of leverage. They can't have 2. I was like, they can have 3 unprotected picks. Honestly, I was willing to go to 4. I don't really care about the picks. I wasn't one of those we got to save it for the next star trade guys because the next you don't need the next star. Get the star the first time. So there's a lot of people who didn't even want to trade picks, and that's my thing. Because I know I didn't want to trade 2 of those 3 guys, I know for a fact that I want to trade RJ. So any package with RJ is off the table. If I would have got a notification saying that Donovan Mitchell was a Knick and RJ Barrett was gone, I would have been livid.
Yeah.
So any package with RJ is off the table for me. And then you get to, I didn't want to trade 2 out of IQ, OB, or Grimes. I would have been kind of upset if they would have traded 2 of them. I wouldn't have like jumped off a bridge or screamed or anything, but I wouldn't have been too happy about the trade. I wouldn't have felt like it was a win for us too much. And then, okay, so with those 2 things, seeing with everything they were asking for, it's just like, there was no real avenue or path to make this trade happen from the parameters that I myself set on it. So how could I personally be upset? And so there are other people who are like, oh, you can't give up the picks because we need the picks for the next star trade, blah, 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 blah. Like, how are you going to get Donovan and you're not going to be good because you're going to need to go get another star? And now those people are crying too. And I'm just like, how are you crying? You didn't want to give anything up.
Now, do you know what the next narrative is going to be?
What are you complaining about?
The next narrative is going to be, well, because we didn't do that, how else they're going to keep wanting to tank to get back into, lower position in the draft to be able to draft the next big thing. And it's like, you can't keep going back there. Like if you're trying to create a culture, you have to at least keep trying. You can't keep losing. You know what I'm saying? Like we turned that corner already and I just can't stand that narrative. Like now I understand we were at 2-3 years ago. Yeah, no problem. I'm with that. But it's like, we've kind of taken that next step as a complete package, a complete organization. We've taken the next step. You can't go backwards. So I hate that. But that's what happens when this plays out like this, because now you're leaving that hole open for that narrative to be driven. Well, we can't land a star with what we got. We got to keep going back to the bag. How else do we get a star? Well, we're going to have to draft one. So how do you draft a star? You're going to have to tank. So it's like, it's that vicious cycle, man, that Knicks PTSD. You know what I'm saying? I hate to cut you off, but I saw that hole and it's like, that's coming next. You know what I'm saying? So I'm putting it out there now. So you guys and people that are listening, it's coming. So be ready for it. You know what I'm saying? Stick to your guns, your own narrative, and don't be so influenced by all these outside voices you hear. That's how that PTSD keeps going.
Yeah, I think something that's really important, and I was saying in our TKW space earlier, like I once again operating in your reality, and in my reality, RJ Barrett is here, Emmanuel quickly is here, Donovan Mitchell is a Cav. I'm not even going back after this podcast. I highly doubt that I will be discussing these packages and what was going on about, because there's no point. There's absolutely no point. None of us know anything. And I wish that everyone was more aware of that. You feel me? Like, that was my favorite part when I was in philosophy class and I learned the Socratic paradox, and he was like, I know that I don't know. And I was like, yo, he was a genius. I don't know. But no one else knows that they don't know for some reason. Everybody else is an expert. Everybody else was in the negotiation room on the 3-way call with Leon and Danny Ainge, and they're like, oh, no, he made this offer. He gave this. He was going to do this. You don't know anything. And what I've learned now is I know even less, because I can't believe everything that's reported because they're reporting everything. And so all I can do is operate in, okay, this is our team. That's it. All those other discussions, bro, and people get mad at me for saying it sometimes, but people get on the internet and waste time, energy, and Twitter characters and space in my mentions personally. Please don't tweet me about this shit.
And
it's
space
over.
in your mind, bro. Space in your mind. It's taking up rent, bro.
For no reason. Like, what, you can discuss it till you're blue in the face. Nothing is gonna change.
Yep.
and you're never actually going to be sure. And honestly, like it's and that's the thing about Woj can really just report anything right now. Danny Ainge can feed Woj anything.
That's
Like
the
when I think
ticket.
about how they can say anything right now. When the fact they're mad about the Jalen Brunson introduction thing, the fact that Woj was being petty this whole time and made a trade out of spite quite clearly, and so he can feed anything to them. What's Leon supposed to do? Get on the Knicks Twitter and be like, "Hey man, no, we didn't offer that. That's not how that happened." No,
Right.
he's gonna do what he's been doing and keep going and living in his reality, and we should do the same.
That's another thing, man, is that throughout all these reports that get leaked, there's one name that you never see reported, right? And that's Grimes. I feel like I've never seen Grimes in reports. Now, what that's going to have people thinking is like the front office values Grimes over RJ. You see RJ's names in all these trades. So clearly the front office isn't riding behind RJ. They're riding behind Q because they're not throwing his name out there. But like you just said, Shaun, we don't know anything. You know what I'm saying? So what's being reported doesn't necessarily mean that's unless it's being stated that this is an official Knicks offer. It could absolutely just be a report from that's what Utah was asking from the Knicks at one given point. So there's a lot of stuff that we don't know. I think every single person, every Knicks fan their minds would be blown if they literally thought that the front office does not value RJ the same way that the rest of this fan base does, because I feel like this fan base has RJ kind of at the heart of it. So if they were going to trade RJ, I feel like that would have ripped the heart out a little bit. Yeah, of course, time heals everything. But at the same time, I feel like you're uprooting a lot of the culture that you just spent the last 2-3 years trying to build. And what does that show? That you're not all in. You're not backing your guys. So what are you really doing? So there's so many narratives that get created from these spins. And like you said, Woj could be reporting anything. We just saw back in July, like Woj just said, Robinson, RJ, and Obi, 3 unprotected firsts, and that was denied. So how does that make sense with today's package that was reportedly accepted by the Cavs? It doesn't. So obviously there's lots of smoke and mirrors. As Shaun just said, I think that's the biggest takeaway from all this is that nobody knows anything. So if you're going to base judgment on whether it's the front office, whether it's as a whole, or you're looking specifically at Leon, you might be basing that judgment off of fake reports and fake narratives. Until you know what's what, you don't know. So it's all just hearsay. So all we're doing is just speculating on what we're hearing and all our own opinions. That's all it is. At the end of the day, like you said, we got RJ. You know what I'm saying? We still have Grimes. We still have all these assets. And it is what it is. Now we got to start the season. We got to figure out how we're going to move forward. The one thing that I could take from last season positively is that throughout all like the bumps and all the cracks in the road that we hit along the way, we kind of found our rhythm by the end of the season. We found a gameplay, a game style that fits our team, right? And it's playing with pace. It's moving the ball. It's playing that hard-nosed defense that we've been doing, for the most part for the last 2 years. But you put all of that together, and I feel like that's where we saw the most success. And as the back half of the season progressed from All-Star break, you started seeing that play a little bit more consistent. And if that could have happened from the beginning of the season, I think we would have seen a totally different outcome of how the rest of the season played out. So I'm kind of hoping that the team can kind of ride off of that success that they found in that style of play and kind of put that in motion this season. I feel like last season started kind of like, all right, we got these new faces. And I remember Tibbs saying like, oh, we're going to take a lot of threes. So they kind of were moving away from that Randall-centric offense that they had the year prior, where it was just very Randall dominant. He would draw more guys. He would dish it off to the open guy and find someone, boom. Like that's how that worked. And then last season you threw in Fournier, you threw in Kemba, and you were trying to change the play style. So everybody got off to a little bit of a slow start. And I feel like by the time, like I said, we got to All-Star break, things started clicking. We realized when we play the younger guys all together and we start playing with a faster pace, good things are happening. And I mean, you see Randall in the offseason looks a lot skinnier than he did last year. I know that's just is what it is. But at the same token, he did come in 2 years ago looking kind of similar to this, and he played with a little bit of a chip on his shoulder. So I'm hoping he's kind of motivated to do the same. I'm not motivated to believe that Tibbs is going to change much at all, just because I'm big on trends, and I feel like he hasn't shown us much willingness to change. So I would love Grimes to start. I think he's the better fit to start, but I think that Tibbs kind of likes Hughes fit off the bench for whatever reason. He doesn't want to tinker with that starting lineup. He's been very stringent on those starting lineups and really not changing too much. So I just feel like it's going to be tough. I really can't stand the optics anymore. It's like we got to this point now. You can't play with optics. You have to play for the best interest of this team and the organization, period. You know what I mean? And the optics of Fournier having to start because he makes this, give me a break. The betterment of the team is most likely somebody else starting in his place, have Fournier come off the bench. He's going to have to do it. He's, a vet in this league, and he's not going to be starting on many other teams in the future anyway. We got to start doing things the right way. And I feel like the optics got in the way a lot last season. We need to get rid of that shit and just play ball. And if we can, I feel like we've all seen enough that if they do it consistently, they could be a good squad and they could get into the play-in, and hopefully from there, roll the dice and let's see what happens. You know what I mean? But that's how I see things moving forward in a positive light. You know what I mean? With my optimism thrown in there also. I know I kind of derailed a little bit, but I don't know. I just started kind of thinking like, we have to kind of look to what we got now and move forward. You know what I'm saying? Like, how long are we going to talk about the Mitchell trade and all these reports and this and that? All it's going to do is get people in the feelings, and there's no point. We still have a whole month. We still got 6 weeks. There's no point. So that's where I'm at with everything.
I'll riot if Fournier starts. I'll be petitioning every day until it changes. He cannot keep getting away with this. He can't. I can't watch. And you guys have known me, well, Shaun's known me for a while with my complaints about the game, and I'll let things go defensively if you're really pulling your weight, like effort wise, offensively. Like, to me, like, it's not 50-50. Offense usually, like, generally is most of the game, right? If you're good at offense, you're going to stay out there, you have a bigger impact. It's very simple. It's not 50-50. But we gave up so much. Just some of those possessions were just, in one season, are just burned into my mind. And even about the optics thing too. They did bench him in second halves and fourth quarter. So I don't get, like,
why you can't do it in the beginning.
Why are you just not afraid to, like, go further? Do you just don't want to go all nuts in the first season? Like, I hope it's the plan in the second season. But he might be perfectly fine off the bench. And as Shaun said it 1,000 times on Twitter, on this pod, 78 million, off the bench is better than 78 million, wasted in the starting lineup. And it's true. You got to put guys in a somewhat better position to succeed, even if, we can all agree, I think it was a mistake in the first place, but you could try to still maximize somebody and get them in the right spot. And, to some degree, but they got to be willing to do that. And again, it's not like some of the young guys don't play. Like, you already got a couple of young guys playing. If somebody else can step up and earn the spot, like a Grimes, like, for Evan Fournier should never be blocking somebody who could potentially be better. Like, that's very much a placeholder. You know what I mean? Very much. So if and I hope, Grimes comes in and continues to play well and at a high level. He did get more minutes as the season went on last year. Let's not forget, it was, we all wanted to see a lot fast, but I think he did end up going, it was like from 10-ish minutes a night to 15 to 20, 25. Yeah. So he started to really play.
Tibbs leaning on him. Yeah, you saw him really leaning on him, and that speaks volumes, for a rookie. And I think that obviously they see a lot of potential in him. And he right off the bat, as a rookie, he gives you more than what Fournier gives you. You know what I mean? Listen, Fournier shot an incredible percentage last season from deep, absolutely. But the rest of his game lacked, and that's just facts. And a guy like Grimes gives us more as a whole. And I feel like you start with somebody like that right off the bat, right from the get-go. It helps set the tone for the game instead of having somebody in there that you target on defense because he's going to be a turnstile in a way, so it's like, why not start that? And last season, the way that Fournier played, I feel like he pretty much proved to us that he's the perfect person to have come off the bench when we need the shooting. You know what I mean? So it's like, why not just let him fill that role? It's almost to me like a natural fit on this team, right now as I see it. And like you said, Kyle, for them to start Fournier next season after everything that we saw last season, it just shows that he's truly stuck in his ways. And like I said in the beginning of the show, I try to give everybody the benefit of the doubt, and I definitely did so with Tibbs. And if I don't see things changing for the better, listen, if he starts Fournier and Fournier all of a sudden is playing freaking defense and you know what I'm saying, and doing the right things and the little things, then I got no problem. But I don't realistically see that happen. And if he stays with that and doesn't change it, I can't give him the benefit of the doubt anymore. And it just is what it is. So that leaves no more room, and if you got a guy like me who's saying that, he's got no more, no more rope to hang from.
Yeah.
You
Honestly,
can't.
I said that I was gonna, I haven't said it on here yet. So I am resetting my Tibbs position. After being in Vegas for All-Star, for Summer League, and looking there and seeing him right next to Leon and James Dolan, I was like, I'm wasting a lot of energy by being angry, and this is not productive. They kept him here for a reason, clearly, whatever. Hopefully they, have done things to intervene. Hopefully they finish shaking the roster out and remove Fournier, so I didn't have to consider this. But hopefully they finish shaking the roster out so he doesn't even have the ability to do certain things. And so it's interesting to see, and now that this, card holding game is over, what they'll do over the next 3 weeks. But yeah, I'm starting new. And it's I'm not gonna carry last year into this year. Last year was horrible. It's one of the worst displays of coaching I've ever seen in my entire life on any level. 6 20-point blown leads, starting Alec Burks at point guard for 60 games. Nuts, so many things. But coming into this year, I'm trying to give him a slate, and when he pisses me off again, then he'll just piss me off again, and that's not my fault. With that being said, I don't view myself as a violent person. I don't think that violence is the answer, but I am going to opening night. And if Evan Fournier trots his ass out onto the court for the jump ball, for the tip-off, I'm liable to lose it. I don't even consider it a possibility. You know what I said about my reality? In my reality, Evan Fournier, we're getting kind of close to the end of the offseason, so maybe he'll still have to be on the roster, unfortunately. But there is literally no way. I've gone through all my Doctor Strange permutations. There is no possible way that he could start Evan Fournier next to Jalen Brunson. It just doesn't make any sense, especially with how they seem to prioritize Grimes and how Grimes looked in Summer League and how Grimes looked last year and how IQ even looks. Truly and honestly, Evan Fournier is our fourth best option as a starting shooting guard. I think that the first two are Quick and Grimes. I think it's probably Grimes first because he's a bigger body and he's more, he's a really good defender, and he kind of compensates or complements Jalen Brunson in that regard. And having Grimes and RJ being on the wings defending would be really good for us as a defense. There's a lot of games where RJ was doing a great job on his man, and the team had a secondary perimeter guy who was just torching Evan Fournier. And this RJ holding Jason Tatum less than 25% while Jalen Brown scores 46. RJ holding Zach LaVine at 30% while DeMar DeRozan is going off. It's tough to deal with. So if you got two guys out there who can do that, that's great. I think second is IQ, and third is RJ. And while starting Cam at the 3, those are the 3 best options. Those options give us shooting. They give us defense at both positions. There's 3 better options than starting Evan Fournier. So if Evan Fournier still somehow starts, which he won't, I will definitely be right there with you, Kyle, rioting and throwing my fist up at tip-off. Because there's just no way, bro. I can't even consider it. It angers me to even contemplate. I really want them to get rid of him, man. Regardless, for everything that's happened this offseason, for as long as a drawn-out process as it's been, if Evan Fournier is not on this roster at the start of training camp, this was an A+ offseason for me. I just need him off the team. I'm no longer on the. I feel like we're getting really close to the point. Julius is still going to be here most likely, but at the end of the day, even though I wanted Julius to be gone because I prefer for Obi to get those minutes, and I'm not confident that he'll be able to get the minutes he deserves with Julius being here, at least Julius is good at basketball. Julius Randle's good at basketball. He's very capable. I feel like Jalen Brunson relieves a lot of pressure off of him. I feel like he's had an offseason to get his mind right and figure out. I know, I read his Players Tribune article that second year. He knew he was shit in his first year from his attitude to things like that. So it's just he's self-aware enough to know that he was a piece of shit last year. And not even in terms of play, just in terms of attitude as a teammate, all that stuff. Julius Randle's a piece of shit last year. And I think that Julius Randle can be aware of that. And if he's still on this roster, I'm fully prepared to support him and get behind him. And I know that he's good at basketball. Evan Fournier is not good. He's not good. We have many people who are better. Like Kyle said, you can't have the likes of Evan Fournier getting in the way of guys who deserve minutes. Evan Fournier shouldn't take a single second from Quentin Grimes. He shouldn't take a single second from Emmanuel Quickly, and he should not be prioritized at all over Cam Reddish. There's just no way. There's no way. Those guys are all better. Those guys are all younger. Those guys can all defend. And that's going to be really important, especially because we didn't get the star offensive upside talent that can, come in here and make our offensive juggernaut. So yeah, we're gonna have to lock up. So put guys on the floor who are going to defend. And Evan Fournier has never been, and will never be one of those guys.
Yeah. So hopefully Fournier gets moved. Maybe Randle gets moved. It doesn't seem like either of those is likely, but you did mention Cam, and we had a Cam rumor today that gets buried in the Donovan Mitchell stuff later on. So Berman had reported basically that Cam wanted to go someplace else already. I don't know about outright request a trade, but requested a trade, and wanted to go someplace else he could play a larger role. He didn't feel he was getting, I guess, that role here or that chance here. And then on Instagram, he replied to that, basically calling it bullshit, right? So again, on a day of who knows what to believe, you have that you want, at least. Personally, I know it's Berman, grain of salt, but I'm almost going to give it to him this time. I think so, just because Cam already requested a trade out of Atlanta for the exact same reason. I do think he's probably not thrilled about having a bench role again. I do think he probably wants to start. And I do think if he's already catching wind, then that's probably not going to be the case. Or, maybe they tried to include him in deals already. I don't know. Maybe whatever the case may be, he doesn't feel valued or like he's going to get the chance here. I would buy that this time. I would. I don't think it's unreasonable. I think you got to earn that stuff too. I think you just got here. I thought there were some games he looked halfway decent, but overall, I wasn't that impressed. But I would believe it, But again, he called it nonsense, so could be. But yeah,
I feel like that's the thing to do. You know what I'm saying? Like, you see that out there, like, and you're young and you're on there, like, you got to kind of deny it until something kind of materializes. But I'm with you, man. It's funny. I feel like it's definitely believable. And you know what? What I was thinking is his buddy RJ is getting paid. It's 2-3 days ago when, it was announced that he was going to get the bag, 120 mil. So it's like he sees, Zion getting a UJS deal, RJ's getting a deal, and he's kind of left just, sitting on the bench watching. So maybe, I mean, like Shaun said, we don't know, but all we could do is, throw in reasons why it would make sense. And I think that's definitely another reason that maybe he does feel a certain way, and is kind of still looking for a shot.
I mean, me personally, this is one of those situations where I feel like I know, because he said it. Like, I'm a horse's mouth kind of guy. I'm not going to believe what Mark Berman said about Cam Reddish over what Cam Reddish said about Cam Reddish. Like, for Cam Reddish to come out and be like, and he didn't just say it once. He replied to 3 different things on Instagram. He was like, this is cap. I don't know why the media is doing this. And it's crazy because, first of all, happy birthday to Cam Reddish, bro.
Yeah, for real.
That's the wild part to me.
What a rough day. That's
right. Like, come on. Like, you dropped this report on his birthday, bro. Like, this you couldn't have done this yesterday or couldn't wait till tomorrow. You got to do this on his birthday. I just thought that was nasty. I thought that was nasty journalism. Especially
it was a little nasty to do it. We talk.
That was so nasty, bro.
We talked about timing at the beginning of this when I mentioned about the RJ tweets and press release. Timing is everything, and it's never to me that much of a coincidence. So yes, very very nasty to do it.
Like, come on his birthday, bro. Like, that was disgusting. So I definitely believe him, bro. Like, if he's lying about, if he requested a trade, like, in Atlanta, and from all accounts, from everybody in Atlanta to the fans to everything. Even when he wanted out, he made it clear he wanted out, but he was a good soldier. He was, he didn't have bad vibes at all. He showed up to work. He was a good teammate. All his teammates liked him. So he doesn't seem like a guy that's a problem. So I doubt he would, request a trade or say he wants out and then get on the internet and be like, I never said that. What reason do I have to believe that? I have
And you know
reason to
what?
believe that he didn't request a trade because he himself, Cam Reddish, said he did not request a trade.
And if you look
And
back
then-
to Atlanta,
Mhm.
he it was dead quiet. Nobody heard a word. Remember when the second deck report came out? That was the first time we heard it, and it was the official report. You know, so at the same token here, why would it happen now the opposite way? Well, it's New York, so
Yeah.
I'm with you, Shaun.
I'm not
That makes
rocking
sense.
with that, bro.
It's
And
something
then, like,
that's believable, but that's why it's out there.
And then one of those, one of the other exactly, it's believable. So you put it out there because it seems there's a bunch of reasons Cam Reddish should ask for a trade, but there's also the reasons we just said about how he was here, but then he got injured. And to be honest, how many teams in the league is Cam Reddish going to start on right now for him to even be requesting a trade? Like, let's keep. So it's just like there's always more reasons to like. Things got to make sense to me, bro. Like things got to make sense, and it has to like. I always weigh things. Like it has to make more sense. So it's like it has to make so much sense that me hearing Cam Reddish say no, I didn't, and I can be like, nah, man, nah, you still did because Mark Berman said. First of all, because Mark Berman said you did, are words I will never say. Like I think that in the first place is an issue, and so. Then the whole thing on the timeline became before the Donovan Mitchell thing happened was, Tibbs leaked this to Berman. Tibbs hates Cam, blah, blah, blah. Like, this is always Tibbs, blah, blah, blah. And it's just like, bro, you don't know that. You don't know that. And now everybody's having this conversation and running with this narrative. And then we get into space and they're like, yeah, Tibbs leaked this about Cam and Tibbs did this and Tibbs did that. And it's like, yo, you just said 4 things that never actually happened. Like, and now you're building this entire narrative and you're painting this entire picture based off of absolutely nothing, based off what everybody on the timeline said. And it's like, is it possible that, like, okay, if you say, oh, hey, Mark Berman said this, Cam Reddish said it wasn't true, who could Mark Berman have heard this from? He's close to Tibbs. Maybe he heard it from Tibbs. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with doing that. But to
How do
run
we
with
even
it
know
as if
that they're close? I don't even like. Is that even a thing? You know what I'm saying? Like, I was seeing that all day on the timeline. Like, since when is that a thing?
because
When
everybody said it
when
was.
are Berman and
Danny.
Tibbs close? Crazy.
That's how it works, Danny. Everybody said it was. Everybody said it was, so it's true. It's the truth. Everybody said Tom Thibodeau did that to Cam Reddish, so it's true. It was crazy
Right.
just watching people react to something and not
Again.
even saying, hey, if he did this. No, it's like, oh, Tibbs did this. Why did Tibbs do this? I can't believe Tibbs do this. I'm going to start a space and yell about Tibbs. What? Shut the fuck up, bro. I just wish everybody would
Talk
shut
on
the
it,
fuck up a
bro.
little bit. It's getting out of hand, bro. It's really like, I'm so tired of it. I'm exhausted. Where is the basketball?
You see why?
Because people woke up and saw a fake report from Mark Berman that then got refuted by Cam Reddish and talked about Tom Thibodeau for hours, as if it was factual, as if they were on the phone, as if they were CC'd on the email. Stop it. Y'all don't know shit. And that's not a slight to anybody because I don't know shit. None of us know shit.
Yeah.
I feel like you gotta clean. First of all, I feel like you gotta clean your timeline up. I feel like some of these people, I don't know. I
Bro,
feel
you
bad,
can't.
man.
You can't,
You
man.
gotta-
You can't mute enough people. I'm telling you.
You see why
You
see
mute
why-
once, someone else pops up.
You see why I lay low for the summer with Knicks stuff because it's like it gets stir crazy, man. I don't know. I mean, every fan base I'm sure has different versions of this, and we're never gonna be totally special. Let's be honest. But for us, it gets bad. I don't know. We need a new batch of fans. We need something. It gets a little bit rough.
Nah,
From
you know
this
what
time
we
of
need?
year.
We need the Knicks Ball podcast to be blasted out there so people could just hear like the real. Like if enough people understand the real, the fake narratives die because you have the real being passed around. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what needs to get echoed out there. You know what I'm saying? Not the bullshit. Of course, that's what sells though. And that's like you said, man, like it makes sense. That's why you put it out because it's believable. Like I get it, you know? It's just shameful,
Yeah,
nasty
man.
work, nasty work.
It's very nasty. So much. It's the summer of nasty work. There's been a lot of nasty work, man. And I just
Yeah.
really can't wait until we get back to basketball and we're talking about pick and rolls and defensive rotations and minutes and oh man, we really pulled that game out or oh man, we blew that lead. Like I can't even wait for post game pouting. That's how much I hate the summer. I can't wait
Yeah.
to talk about losses because at least we can talk about basketball, bro. I'm exhausted.
I know.
Exhausted.
It's gossip, bro. You know what I'm saying? It's soap opera. And that's not what I'm here for. I'm 100%, like you said, bro. I can't wait to get back to basketball. It's been a long off season, you know, with the way that the seasons were the last couple of years, so truncated in such a short period of time, like things like kind of kept rolling, you know what I mean? And I feel like we kind of reset. And so there's like this long period of just nothingness. And, you know, it's everybody's getting sunk in, you know, sucks. It really does. And it sucks that we were in a position that we were with Mitchell and everything during this period of time, because it just fed everything and just created this monster, and it's kind of time to wake up from the nightmare and, a little bit in a sense. And this is what we got, face reality, like you said, like this is what we have. And that's all we could do is, look from here and move on forward. Yeah, it sucks. We didn't get to star again, but at least we still have all of the assets and tools necessary to strike when the time comes again. So whatever, we'll keep doing our thing and we'll keep trying to do it the best we can. I feel like at least now they're kind of at least showing a little face, in terms of kind of correcting the wrongs that they've made throughout the way. I can't speak on everybody because we still haven't seen Tibbs, but I can live with it for now. You know what I mean? I can still get behind it. So I feel like
I think what you said is important. Oh, my bad.
No, you're good, man. I didn't mean to cut you off. I was just gonna say, I think we kind of came full circle in a way, right? From like the start of the pod to like where we are now in terms of just the emotion, the frustration, the realization of what everything is, and kind of just putting it in perspective,
Yeah, like this is where we are. And I think what you said was important about like how, it's almost impossible to quell the bullshit. There's too much of it. Like, you can't mute everybody. You can't, like, it feeds, it keeps going. It's just a shit storm. It's just been a nonstop shit storm. But I think what is important is just like amplify our voices, because it was really refreshing. And I said it in space, but like, we had that space. I know when it happened, we got the notification, everybody has the reactions, everybody felt the way. My friend accidentally clicked into another space thinking I'd be in there, and he was like, "Yo, they're in there just yelling." He was like, "They're just angry and blah blah blah." And it's like, for us, we were in our space, we were having level-headed conversations. And, we were able to, and, there were a good amount of people. We had 4K listeners. First of all, shout out to all of you guys who pull up to the space. Shout out to all you guys who pull up to any of the spaces, who listen, who, speak, whatever, and contribute to them. But, the fact that we were able to have a constructive conversation and, those, like, whatever 4,000 people listened, they got a better understanding. They didn't just get yelling and anger like a lot of people probably expected to. And, a lot of people's probably initial reaction was, "Oh, yelling, I'm angry. And now if they come into our space, we're yelling and angry, then it's just yelling and angry, and then the bullshit keeps going." But because that wasn't what was going on with us, we had an entire sort of community of people who were now not in those stupid conversations that are happening. And so, yeah. And so, yeah, I feel like it's important to do that. It's important to be able to, just control the narrative and control like the emotions. And, I know fanhood has a lot of emotion behind it, but we can't remove the logic. And I feel like, just sticking to it and being able to, excuse me, my goodness, I gotta stop burping. Being able to like, just really communicate and like discuss what's actually happening in the season and the team moving forward. And also, I feel like it's a bet. Like, I don't want to, it's funny because almost all Knicks fans now, Stephen A is probably one of the worst Knicks fans in the world, at least on TV.
I can't believe we mentioned him
all
twice.
Knicks fans can't stand Stephen A. But 80% of Knicks fans turn to Stephen A every single day. 80% of Knicks fans are Stephen A. They operate with the Stephen A mentality of fanhood. And so, like, I like that we're able to even represent Knicks fans as level-headed people. For the people within the fan base and for the people who, just click into a space, because a lot of my friends that came in and say aren't Knicks fans, but people know Donovan Mitchell was involved with the Knicks. They see us in there. They see, the Knicks, blah, blah, blah. Let's go see what they're talking about. We do that for fans all the time. Oh, and when the Nets were falling apart, I was hopping in their space. Other people hopping into, like Lakers spaces and things like that. And, fans make themselves into a clown show. And so a lot of these people getting on spaces and yelling all day and blah, 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 and having horrible takes and not even know what they're talking about, they give Knicks fans a bad name. And so, I think that it's important. I think it's important not only for us, like within the fan base, to be able, like, and if you're listening, like, take these and have only engage in conversations that like have a purpose. And I'm not saying like every conversation has to be like, you sit around and, discuss like, Confucius theory or whatever, but it's just like, don't sit around and talk about, oh, they were going to trade this, like that. There's a lot of conversations that just lead to nowhere except misery and, further anger. And some people have built their brand or built their or just they feel like it's a character trait to be miserable. And I understand that like we were mired in misery for a very long time. We're Knicks fans. Like we are, some merely adapted to the darkness. We were born into it. And but we don't have to stay that way, bro. And so, have intelligent conversations, have meaningful conversations. I'm not saying you got to be rosy about everything. You can still say, hey man, I don't believe in Tibbs. I don't think he's going to do certain things this season. That's fine. But at least we're talking about basketball. At least we're talking about the product that's going to be on the court. Because at the end of the day, that's what all of this is about. And, just do that. And that's how you start to eliminate some of the bullshit. Like the more and more people that start to have more useful conversations, the bullshit kind of dissipates, or at least I stop seeing it. That's all I'm asking for.
I'm with you, man. I feel like kind of we just came up with a mission statement. You know what I'm saying? No, but seriously, like that's super important. I feel like that's something that I've kind of tried to associate myself with since I've been a part of Knicks Twitter is real conversation. You know what I'm saying? And not the drama. You know what I mean? And I think that that's super important because there's so much drama out there, and because we're in such a big market that feeds off of that type of energy. And like you said, Shaun, that's what becomes the Knicks fans' reputation. You know what I mean? So to change that narrative, it takes a lot. But if anybody can do it, this fan base definitely can, because we hold so much power. Our voices hold so much power. Like, Jay Boogie says this all the time, Chuck D all the time. Like our voices are so loud. Like you have Knicks executives, you have media executives all over on Twitter tuned into what the fans are saying, because they know like these are the hot buttons. You know what I'm saying? So the more that we can get across, I don't want to say like the right way to handle things, because I'm not trying to tell people how to fan, but like if we could do things collectively in a more strategic manner, just a more basketball driven manner, without the BS, without the calling names, just the straight debates, I think that we'll all be better off in terms of not just us, on a personal level, but as a fan base. Like there's just there'll be more connectivity, there'll be more positivity, there'll be better outlooks of things. Maybe the media will slowly start to not be such assholes. And things maybe slowly will change, but it's like it's got to start within in a way. And I feel like the fan base doesn't realize how much power they hold, and that if we could all collectively get on the same page, however the hell that happens, you could really, make change effectively. And I think that that's huge, and goes a long way. I've always been a big believer of that.
And just to speak to that really quick, like, honestly, your voice holds power. Like Danny said, like as a fan, my example, the Bulls game in late March or whenever it was, I watched Julius Randle do his Beyblade tornado baseline turnover for like the 4th time in the past 3 minutes. Obi had like 6 points in 3 minutes when he was in the game before that and got taken out so Randle could come back in Beyblade. And I was pissed off. And I stood up and I yelled, "We want Obi." And the entire garden started chanting it. And we got Obi back in the game.
I remember hearing that on the TV.
Yeah. I was fed up and I stood up. So it's just like, yeah, use your voice, but like use it wisely, please. And like, because when you use your voice, you speak to other people who use a similar voice, and then you guys can have a collective voice. But if you have a collective voice of nonsense, drama, and stupidity, and I shouldn't say stupidity, but I've said it a lot this summer. Somebody tweeted me today and he was like, "Oh, I guess those unprotected picks didn't have that much value, huh? But I'm stupid, LOL." And I quoted it and I was like, admitting it is the first step, bro. Like, I don't know what you want me to say.
It's so true though. You know what I mean? It really is. Listen, like when you get, the whole fan base screaming F Trae Young, you know what I mean? That becomes a story. And it's fun if you're a fan in the garden and you're a part of it, like, yeah, screaming. I get that aspect of it. But at the end of the day, the next day, the headlines and the storylines and like the fan base itself is going to be a joke for that whole day. So what did you really just participate in? Like the down, you know what I mean? Like you just literally participated in the negative publicity for your team and you helped create it. Like whoever started those chants, like, and I'm not saying those specifically, but like that type of behavior itself, like that's the thing. Like Shaun said, he got up and he stood up and said, like, I want Obi. He didn't say F you, Jules. You know what I'm saying? Like it's two different things. And I feel like that's such a big piece that gets forgotten, man. And maybe it's the younger generation not giving a flying shit about any of it, but I feel like that's so important to take the narrative back. And I feel like I've been seeing more of it, I want to say, and like, but it's so tough, man. Like everybody sees a corner of Knicks Twitter. You know what I'm saying? And Knicks Twitter is like really a big city So unless you're flying around it in a helicopter, you're not really getting the total of, the fan base. So it's tough, man. But the best you could do is just trying to keep it real and just keep pushing out, good conversation. And I think that it's definitely what we just did in the last hour. So I don't mean to get so freaking heartfelt, and deep, on the pod here, but I feel like it is important to kind of touch bases on these types of things also. You got to keep it real with yourself at the end of the
Yeah. So on
day.
that note, I think that's probably a good place for us to stop. I think we're all cut up then. But yeah, I mean, we gotta, do what we can. Here we've always liked to just talk about basketball. I mean, Shaun knows it's something I've harped on to a disgusting level internally because I just don't like nonsense, and I feel like we lose sight. I'm an NBA fan first, man. I like basketball. I like NBA basketball. It's a beautiful sport. It's a beautiful game that they play. So I just want to talk about that most of the time. And then, my frustrations usually lie like when we don't get good players because as a fan of this game, I want to see the best players play for my favorite team. I'm always going to want that. I feel like that should be a natural thing that fans should
Yeah.
want. Do you know what I mean? So it's like that's about it. But it's like, at the end of the day, we like to just talk about basketball very simply, very plainly. It's the right way to go about it. I feel like the only time, you can get up and, caught up on certain things is verified, credible stuff to really go off of. Otherwise, you just gotta talk about what's in front of you. The games ahead, the games they're actually playing. Which is why we can't wait for the end of this month with training camp and everything coming back. Media day coming back. So I know they released the schedule the last week or so. So things are coming very, very shortly, very, very soon. We're about a month out from really picking up speed here. So can't come soon enough, man. We miss basketball, we miss Knicks basketball. So it's almost that time, gentlemen. We are very, very close.
Yo, before we go, I want to know both of you guys, is Fournier starting?
Hell no.
Well, earlier I said that I didn't think he was going to start anymore, but for guys who have been right about a lot of stuff, Shaun, after getting the Donovan Mitchell thing wrong, I'm just gonna say like
It's so
if
hard.
I thought maybe he would finally get benched, I'm just gonna
Let
assume
it
now he's just
sag.
gonna start. Yeah, I just don't want to. Yeah, I now want to walk on eggshells and just go back to like you said earlier, like we just don't know. I don't know. I feel bamboozled, so I think he's gonna. I think he'll be there. I think opening night he'll be prepared to do whatever. It's unfortunate that we don't play the Celtics. It is what it is.
I think he's gonna start too, and I'll tell you what, that's gonna just put. I feel like it's gonna start us off on the wrong foot. You know what I'm saying? Like we see him start the first game of the season. I don't know. I feel like he is. I don't want him to though. So, man, what a way to end it. I wanted to kind of like see what you guys realistically thought. Like if Tibbs will start him, or if there's a possibility that maybe Tibbs is gonna start something different. But I don't see it. I feel like he's gonna start.
No idea.
It's not possible. It makes zero basketball sense. I refuse.
It does. It does make zero basketball sense.
But he does a lot of things that make zero basketball sense. So who knows, man?
Yeah.
He's a madman now. Nobody knows. You can't control what this guy does. So it's unfortunate, but we'll see.
I see that gif in my head of Thibodeau, like when somebody put that automated mouth like on him, and he's just like like just the face.
Yeah.
Oh man. Oh man.
But,
All right, I'm gonna hope not, man. Let's hope for a fresh start, a whole new Tibbs.
let's hope, man. That would be a beautiful, beautiful thing, a much needed thing this season. But so sometimes you can't change these guys; they're stuck in their ways. So we'll see. If he doesn't change, some of this stuff, at least stylistically, a couple big lineup tweaks. Like I give him to All-Star break. I don't think he makes it to the end of the season. If he does, I feel like it's an optics thing that I know with all the head coach carousel here, we normally have here that they probably want him to get through his third season. So I would hope that there's some real ironing out and some tweaks ahead of that, but we'll see. Seems like not his MO is to change in a way that you want. It seems like that's usually not how the Tibbs story goes. So I'm gonna assume that that's not going to be the case.
Yeah, I don't want to have to yell and be angry about him this year. So I hope that he does at least just a couple small things. Hopefully the front office helps him out a little bit. Getting rid of Fournier. We can only pray.
We'll get there. I feel like it's a process, and to kind of, I feel like at least they kind of realized what they got last season in terms of like I said, that gameplay and that style of play with the young guys, and I feel like they're slowly gonna move towards that. But it takes time. It's not going to happen overnight, clearly. So hopefully they could get off Fournier in the next 3 weeks. If not, hopefully he's not starting, game one. And we'll go from there. Hopefully we can make some tweaks, like you said. I think we kind of all have an idea as to where we kind of want to end up, players without. So hopefully that comes to fruition.
Yeah, for sure. But crazy day, guys. Glad we could finally put a bow on it. Finally comes to an end. Between the Cam rumors, at the beginning of the morning. Again, happy birthday, Cam. Hell of a birthday. But the trade rumors popping up thereafter. Cam calling it fake news. Donovan Mitchell gets traded to the Cavs. Colin Sexton then goes to the Jazz. Very very crazy day. RJ gets formally the reports coming out. RJ gets formally announced as the trade happens. So. Very, very fun up and down next day today. So very, very classic day. So very glad, we had the talk. We finally caught up on it, and we can move on, now that the Donovan Mitchell thing is finally somehow settled. I think we thought it was at least going to happen before training camp. We thought it was going to happen for us. It did not. So yet another one. We'll just wait. Add it to the list of stars that I wanted that I didn't get for this team. It's a long list. It's a disgusting list. I'll wait. Next free agency, the next star. 2025, maybe I'll get one. Who knows? Who knows? Maybe 2030. I'll just keep waiting. But so far, so good for what we do have. But yeah, I didn't get my big star trade.
I know we can't see the walls on the side of you, but do you actually have a running list on the side where after this pod ends, you're just gonna turn your chair and cross this one off the list?
Upstairs, yes, upstairs. Not
gotcha. I feel you, man.
I think just as a parting thing, I want to say, don't jump off the ledge. Even in terms of star trade, when I look at, if we put out Brunson, Grimes, RJ, Randall, Obi, whatever, Mitch. I mean, there's not even a lot of guys who I would want replaced in that lineup. They're not going to trade Jalen Brunson right now. He's our starting point guard. We just lock Mitch in. He's a center. I don't really need any other center. It's not like Jokic or Embiid is about to hit the market. We've got RJ. I definitely don't want him traded. I'm excited to see what Grimes what he can do at the 2. I would assume if we were to go for a star, it'd probably be at that 2 position next to RJ. But maybe Grimes turns into that guy this year. Maybe I think Quentin Grimes can average 15 points on pretty good splits and play good defense. And if a guy does that in the second year, he's the guy you can be hopeful about. And then at the 4, we don't even have a. Randall's there, and he's kind of, he's an all-star. He was second team All-NBA. He's a good basketball player. And if you move on from him, we got Obi there, so we got a little bit of a log jam already. So we're not star hungry like the media paints us out to be. We're not desperate,
we just got to keep
nice
working
to get a star if one became available. But we have a pretty solid team here. We've got a young team with a lot of potential, and don't fall into that thing of Stephen A's oh, the Knicks don't have their roster is still devoid of a star. I'm just really, really, really tired of RJ Barrett disrespect, and that's stops this year. This is the last year anybody's going to say the Knicks don't have a star. Bet.
No more Stephen A, bro. It's all TK Dub. That's it.
All right, guys. But on that note, thanks for tuning in for another episode of the Knicks Wall Podcast. We will talk to you guys probably next week at some point. Hopefully a little bit more consistently as we get closer to training camp here. Season actually picking back up and us getting closer to basketball. But until the next time, talk to you guys later. Take it easy. Have a good one.
Adios.